All right, welcome into this week at Gridiron Icon, and I have to say I'm excited to have you on again, a fellow Ram brother, and also the managing editor of Downtown Rams. You will recognize him if you are part of the Ramley, Mr. Blaine Grisak. How are you, my friend?
Really good. Really happy to be on the show again. We had so much fun the last time. So this time we're previewing a Rams Super Bowl game. So
God,
gotta love it.
could you, when we last spoke, I mean, if you had told us we'd be getting together in early February talking about the Super Bowl, man, I would have been doing backflips.
Yeah.
You remember the last time we hung out together, we were talking about something that we were both a little edgy about, the Matt Stafford versus Jared Goff.
Yeah. It's crazy how far we've come since then.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well for us, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And I got to admit, I'm a Goff guy. I like Goff. You were a little bit more critical, and you backed it up with some good data. Um, what can I say to you now, man? I mean, Matt Stafford has just been unbelievable. You were right. And not that I was wrong, but you were right. You were definitely solidly in his corner to start the season, and I was a little iffy. And my God, Matthew Stafford has just been unreal.
Yeah. He showed up. Like I can understand some people being hesitant with his turnovers. He obviously led the league in interceptions and everything, but just how he's played during this postseason, it's just been on another level. I mean, that throw to Cooper Kupp will go down as one of the that'll go down with like Warner to Prohl, like that'll go down with one of the more iconic postseason moments in Rams history. Like it's right there. And then last week to knock the 49ers off down by 10 points in the fourth quarter and send them home, like it doesn't get much better than that.
Man, this grown man was almost bawling. I mean, to get that monkey off our back, beat the Niners at home, the way we beat them, and Matthew Stafford taking the team. I mean, honestly, Blaine, is there anything better for us? Matthew Stafford takes the offense on his back, Aaron Donald takes the defense on his back, and they come up with two really special plays to get us into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that's why you go get Matthew Stafford, right? To beat the 49ers in the fourth quarter in the NFC Championship game. You pay Aaron Donald a ton of money to, be the guy that shows up in the fourth quarter to lead the defense. Like, yeah, it's exactly what you would have wanted.
Yeah, I know both of us have been following this team for many years of our lives, and we probably have our top 5 iconic Ram moments. You were kind of hinting at them there a minute ago, but I got to tell you, Aaron Donald's just taking the guard, throwing him down, and getting to Jimmy Garoppolo had the fact that it was an interception was just that much sweeter to a guy I've always thought's underrated, and Trayvon Howard. But just what a special moment, man.
Yeah,
I wish all of us were all in one spot.
Isn't it crazy? In one postseason, the Rams forced Tom Brady to retire, and Jimmy Garoppolo is likely to get traded. So they kicked Jimmy Garoppolo out of San Francisco and kicked Tom Brady out of the league. So
You couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's wild. And of course, I probably should pick your brain here at the outset of us getting together, but wouldn't it be interesting if Jimmy G ends up in Tampa, like as trade bait?
Yeah.
Or I've even seen rumors about our guy, Jared Goff. Maybe the Lions trade him to Tampa. Anyway, you're right. The landscape changed due to our Rams, Matthew Stafford. God, I cannot wait. So let's unpack this thing. There was a couple things I wanted to bounce off of you as you cover the Rams 24/7 on downtownrams.com. The coaches, let's just start right at the top. And maybe we'll start with the NFC Championship game. Is it safe to say now that McVay has got the Kyle Shanahan monkey off his back, in your opinion?
yeah, I think so, and I think that was a story that's a little bit overblown. I think the Niners kind of got. I don't want to say lucky because good teams win those games, but 3 of those games came down to the last play or the last last second field goal. Like in 2019, Robbie Gould kicked a field goal to win. Last year, Robbie Gould kicked another field goal to win as time expired, and then this year they win the game in overtime. Like those are 3 just really close games that it's really a coin flip at that point. So, yeah, I think it's good for them to get that off their back. This is a team who, like, I think they needed to beat the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. So to get that monkey off the back to beat your big rival in the biggest game of the year, that's huge.
Oh, amen. I mean, were you like me? Like I wanted the Niners in the NFC Championship. Like that had to happen.
I did too. I think the Niners were the better matchup, honestly. Like I didn't want to go to Lambeau Field. Like give me the Niners at home every day, even with that poor history. But yeah, I didn't want to go to 10-degree Lambeau Field in January.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, no, it was great. It was storybook, and let's finish this book the right way here with a Lombardi here in a couple of weeks. So yeah, looking at the coaching, and before I get into the matchup of the two coaches and their history together, maybe just under the coaching heading, Kevin O'Connell. I mean, in the last 24, 48 hours now, it looks like we're going to lose yet another coordinator as soon as this game is over to the Minnesota Vikings. And he's been absolutely fantastic. You think he's going to have any trouble locking in on this game, knowing that he's going to be the head coach of the Vikings in 10 days?
You hope not. Like I don't think so. Like the interview process is over. He likely has the job already. So I don't think it'll be that big of a distraction for him. Like he's gonna be focused on this game, and I think McVay will make sure of that.
Yeah, no, I think so too. What's more interesting with that whole thing is I'm wondering what's going to happen, and I don't want to take away from what we're about to talk about, but what's he going to do with Kirk Cousins? I mean, he's got a running game. There's a lot of stuff for Kevin O'Connell, man, in Minnesota. So here we go. I mean, this McVay coaching tree, let's just start there before we get into the Super Bowl matchup, which we're kind of on the edge of it. This McVay coaching tree is rapidly growing. And you and I've even had conversations where we disagree on some of the stuff with McVay. His play calling has driven me nuts at times, and you've backed it up with more data. But this coaching tree, are we seeing the next great, Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick type coaching tree develop right before our eyes at 35, 36 years old?
It's certainly looking that way, isn't it? I think LaFleur's success, like he's been one of the more successful coaches ever in NFL history through his first couple of years there in Green Bay, and I think he'll be judged now. If Rodgers leaves, he'll be judged on what he does with Jordan Love for sure. I mean, Zach Taylor, what he's done with the Bengals is incredible. That they struggled his first 2 years, people wanted him fired, and then they come this year and they're in the Super Bowl, which is insane. And Brandon Staley, they didn't finish the job there in Week 18, but it looks like he has the Chargers going in the right direction, hopefully. So, yeah, I mean, it's obvious why other teams want to pick off this McVay coaching tree, because just with McVay's success and then the success that has come off of him with his coaches has been, I mean, teams have seen it almost instantly.
Yeah, it's downright wild. I mean, 48 hours ago, we were all over Twitter, and national news was that Jim Harbaugh was likely to get the Minnesota Viking job. And out of nowhere, here comes another McVay disciple, for lack of a better term, Kevin O'Connell. And my God, there's 4 head coaches in the NFL, and McVay's been with the Rams, 5 years? So 4 of those 5 years, teams have came and poached some of the offensive and defensive talent in Staley that McVay helped develop on this staff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at other teams too. I mean, the Lions picked Aubrey Pleasant.
Good point.
Yeah, there's just tons of coordinators and position coaches too that have left the Rams to go to other places and have had success as well.
Yeah, I think it was a Cohen that was on our offensive staff. Went to Kentucky, I think.
Yep.
And I mean, they're getting into the college ranks. It is wild to see what Sean McVay does. So before we move off O'Connell and into the Super Bowl matchup of another McVay guy, who do you think is going to backfill that Kevin O'Connell position? Just way too early. This is like a mock draft. Way too early predictions in 2022. Do you think that McVay once again finds somebody internally, or does he go outside the current staff?
I think internally is probably the way that he goes. That's been the way that he's gone on the offensive side of the ball. Like when LaFleur left, he went the way he went. I think I think he goes into internally. I think Thomas Brown is right up there with the top candidates for that spot. He's well respected around the league. He's someone who challenges McVay. I mean, if they don't hire him to the offensive coordinator this year, somebody else will. That's for sure. Zach Robinson will be in contention there too. He's the assistant quarterbacks coach, and that kind of seems to be. I wouldn't count him out Thomas Brown, I think, is a favorite, but I wouldn't count out Zach Robinson just because when it comes to that offensive coordinator position, it kind of seems like McVay favors those guys that have worked with quarterbacks in the past. And Robinson's the assistant quarterbacks coach, that would make sense for him to fill in there. If they go to the college ranks, Josh Gaddis at Michigan, he's one of the top offensive coordinators. Wow. Someone that maybe they would go towards maybe. And I wouldn't count out a return of Liam Cohen. He's the offensive coordinator at Kentucky, but if he wants to fast forward his career a little bit, come back to Los Angeles and be the offensive coordinator here and maybe become a head coach or offensive coordinator somewhere else.
Yeah, good point, man. And he's got all the tools. It's a really good point. He may just turn around and come back. I'm going to throw something just totally wild at you. Well, a couple of things. It's something that there's two guys on McVay's staff that are the sons of guys that McVay had to let go or fire, in Wes Phillips, the tight end coach, and Zach Cromer, the assistant offensive coordinator. Both of their dads were let go, but both of the young guys stayed. It's kind of an interesting story within a story that nobody really talks about that much.
That is interesting for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised Cromer stayed after Aaron Cromer left on I don't want to say it's bad terms, but I'm not sure if it was great terms. Kind of seemed like they both mutually parted to go to separate ways, which was kind of weird. But yeah, definitely something. Definitely a weird thing going on there.
That's a weird dynamic. I can't imagine what that coaching room's like after that. It's probably over it now. You're in the Super Bowl. I'm going to throw something really weird at you. And there is nothing that even suggests this will come true. But wouldn't it be wild if the Cardinals move off of Cliff Kingsbury and he became out there as somebody available to be on a staff? Do you think McVay, in a pinch, and again, there's nothing to say this will happen, although it was rumored that the Cardinals were not happy with Kingsbury, especially at the way this season tanked out. Do you think he'd bring in Kingsbury to help with the offense? I think there's a shot at that.
If Kingsbury got fired, I think McVay would definitely make the call. Those two seem to be like they seem to be pretty close. McVay, I believe, called Cliff Kingsbury before he took the job at USC a couple of years ago, before he went to Arizona. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if McVay at least makes that call.
God, I agree with you 100% on that. Okay. All right, shifting gears before we get into the head-to-head matchup again. I got to call this out because, man, I see you take way too much heat for this on the Twitter-dom. Raheem Morris. And look, I'm going to be candid with you because we were the last time we spent time together. I, too, was getting a little critical on Raheem at about week 6, 7, and 8. You stood your ground, man, backed it up almost nightly with information, data, stats. Raheem Morris seems like he's come full circle, especially the last 3 to 4 weeks. He has adjusted and really thrown some wrinkles at people, some really interesting wrinkles. What made you stick in the Raheem Morris pro crowd? Because you were taking some lumps for that, man.
Yeah, I guess I like to take things at a full sample. Like I'm not somebody that's going to watch them give up 37 points to the Cardinals in week 3 and be like, oh, this guy needs to be fired right now. Like he shouldn't get back. He shouldn't get back on the team bus. Like that's just not me. I like to see the whole sample. Like this was his first year with the team. He was thrown into this Brandon Staley system that he had never worked with. Like he was learning this. He was pretty much learning the system on the spot and putting his own spin on it. Not to mention they lost 4 starters. I mean, they lost John Johnson III at safety. They lost Troy Hill. They lost Michael Brocker, Samson Ebukam. Kenny Young was traded early in the year. So there's just a lot of moving pieces there. And it took them, I think, a little bit to find their ground. But a lot of people were getting upset over the yards. But what good do yards get you if you're not giving up points? I mean, legitimately, without Stafford pick sixes and Stafford putting the offensive turnovers, putting the defense in tough situations, they legitimately gave up 20 points only 4 times all season. And in 2022's NFL, where offense rules, that's pretty impressive, I think. I mean, they finished in 9th in EPA per play, 5th in DVOA on defense, 10th in turnovers. I mean, you can get upset about yards, but turnovers and points, I think, are what matters.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. It's hard to argue. I think where people, yeah, I mean, you're going to see people on Sundays or Mondays or Thursday nights where you're giving up a ton of yards, that bend don't break mentality. They're just going to freak out if they lose a game. But what was really overlooked, I think, by most fans emotionally was something you just said, which was the offense put them in some pretty tough spots. And a couple of those games were 3 interception games with your back in the end zone. So it's a good point. But so you're on, if you're one of these fans that's on the side of, God, we got to get rid of Raheem Morris, which of course nobody's saying today. But when you look at the defense, they're ranked 15th. They finished the year as the 15th ranked defense, which is, yeah, that's middle of the pack in the NFL. And you've got Aaron Donald, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Von Miller. Do you think fans are just being way too hard on Raheem?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, like only 5 of the top 10 defenses in yards made the playoffs. And
Okay.
like I said, like like I'm not saying Raheem was perfect all season. He absolutely wasn't. The defense
Right.
had the defense had its bad games. That's for sure. But I think to call for him to be fired in his first season, like it's not like he'd been here a year to implement his system and everything. Like this was his first year. I think was definitely a little more harsh than I think some other defensive coordinators would have gotten.
Yeah, and I just want to be transparent. I had a couple of weeks where I was in that crowd, man. I was going nuts. And I stayed out of that argument out there on the old interwebs. But look, the rest of the NFL apparently agrees with you because Raheem Morris was getting head coaching interview invitations. So that doesn't happen when people think you're a terrible coach.
No, not at all. And I think when Morris had his head coaching stint in Tampa Bay, I think he was a little young. I think he's learned a lot since then. He's coached both sides of the ball, which not many coaches can do, honestly. It just kind of shows how good of a coach he is. So I think if he were to get a second shot at being head coach, I think he'd do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, that's what my McVay's so damn special is a lot of these guys. And we've seen this with Josh McDaniels, right? He got a shot in Denver, failed miserably, went back to New England. He was actually as the Rams offensive coordinator there for what was it, one season, and now he's starting all over again at a more mature age with Oakland. That really tells us a lot about McVay at his age, that he's weathered the storms, lost a Super Bowl, been in the playoffs every year. It's incredible when you get right down to it. So okay, let's shift gears to the Super Bowl. Cannot believe it! I'm so excited. We are about to see Sean McVay go up against one of his guys in Zach Taylor. What do you expect to see? Are we going to see are we going to see like almost carbon copy offenses going head to head here?
Yeah, I think this is similar to the McVay Shanahan dynamic, where they both run similar offenses, where they both kind of have put their own spins on it. Like the Bengals play a lot of spread. They'll get an empty. They'll let Burrow They'll let Burrow toss the ball around, even with that porous offensive line that they do have. So I think you'll see that empty kind of set that you see a lot with in McVay's system right now. So yeah, I think that they'll both be very similar, but you'll see things that you just from Taylor that you wouldn't see McVay do, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't watch a lot of Bengals football, obviously, this year. I'm pretty devoted to my Rams every single week, and it was interesting the AFC Championship to watch the offense. And I want to go on record saying I thought they had no chance against the Chiefs, and I absolutely love Joe Burrow. I think he's one of the brightest spots in this league for the next 10 years. He's amazing. But as you watch that game, it was almost eerie at times to see the teams and the similarity in the offenses, particularly in the running game. And then you start looking at things like the wide receiver room and the similarities between the Rams wide receivers and what Zach Taylor has in Chase and Higgins and Boyd. And then he's got the stud running back and Joe Mixon. And you start going, God, he's really built the Bengals in a very similar way to what McVay's built the Los Angeles Rams. It was almost eerie at times to watch that when I actually had time to watch the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are underrating the Bengals. To be honest, I mean
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, the Rams will have the advantage on the defensive line. I mean, you saw in the wild card, or I think the divisional round actually, you saw the Titans sack Joe Burrow 9 times, and it would not surprise
Still
me
lost.
if the Rams get close to that number, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, you saw last week against the Chiefs, Burrow was under pressure for most of the first half, and then they adjusted. They went to a lot of the quick game, got the running backs involved and with some screens. Like, and the Bengals receivers, you throw Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase all in the same group, and that's one of the top receiving groups, I think, in the NFL. I don't think you'll see many teams with a better 3 wide receivers. So, and then I mean their defense, I think it's a little underrated. They don't have those stars per se, but Jesse Bates is playing incredible at safety. Sam Hubbard's not bad at defensive end at all. Logan Wilson's been playing really well at linebacker for his second year in the league. So. Um, I don't think Rams fans should underrate this team because the Bengals they are in the Super Bowl for a reason. I mean, maybe they're still a year or two away from being a serious threat, but they're here for a reason, and it's because they are a good team.
Yeah, man, I agree. I hope that there isn't one guy in that locker room taking this lightly. I think Burrow is very special as a leader and as a player. And that you just reeled off those names in the wide receiver room. It's pretty impressive. That's top 5, top 10 for sure in terms of young, and they're all young, really young. So, my God, you can't take the Bengals lightly. They got to come to play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Darius Williams has had a pretty rough year. I think he's going to have to step up against T. Higgins because T. Higgins is really good for being in his second year. Jalen Ramsey,
tall too, taller than Darius. Yeah,
and I mean Jalen's gonna be Jalen. He gave up that touchdown to Mike Evans 2 weeks ago against Tampa Bay, and he dropped an interception last week. But I don't think you'll get that very often from Ramsey. So I'm actually really excited for the Jamar Chase Jalen Ramsey matchup because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be like DK and Jalen last year where they had some really good battles. So,
yeah, I totally agree with that, man. That matchup is going to be fun to watch, and he would be very, very happy about that fresh Jalen Ramsey jersey that you're sporting on this podcast.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm glad. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I love it that they were able to get the modern throwbacks to this game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't believe we still have to wait another 9 days.
Oh man, I know. There's no football this weekend. It's going to be nothing but those shows that after 2 or 3 of those damn pre-Super Bowl shows, you're losing your mind waiting for the game, and it's another week away. Can't wait. So, okay, the coaching matchup I think is going to be interesting to watch. Certainly a lot of fun for everybody that loves offense. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you look at the quarterbacks in this matchup, goes without saying, Matthew Stafford, how special this is for him. Joe Burrow, blown out knee, massive knee injury 2 years ago. Just 2 seasons ago, the Bengals were the worst team in the NFL. And Joe Burrow has them playing in the Super Bowl. And Zach Taylor, obviously. But absolutely mind-boggling. Let's talk for a minute about our guy, Matthew Stafford. Do you expect to see the Bengals, based on their defense and what you've seen so far, are they going to try to blitz number 9?
I don't think so. I think they'll do a lot what they did against Kansas City, where they rushed 4 and dropped everybody back and made the windows tighter, made Mahomes force some things in the second half or hold onto the ball when he probably shouldn't have. I think that'll be more of their game plan. I mean, if you look at the numbers, blitzing Matthew Stafford at this point is just dumb. Like when Bowles blitzed Stafford there at the end of the game and he hit Cup over the top, like why are you blitzing in that situation? Yeah, so I wouldn't expect. I'm sure they will here and there, but I wouldn't expect it to be prominent.
It'd be nuts. I mean, it would just be nuts. I mean, I'm hoping they do. Matthew Stafford, you just touched on it, but he is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL against the blitz with a QBR of 131.8, an incredible 13-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and he completes 74% plus of his passes when you blitz him. So Cincinnati, go ahead and blitz.
Yeah, please. Bring 6 every play.
Oh my God. Do you get the feeling based on that? I know I do that this game is really going to be about our guys up front, the offensive line and the running game.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the last 2 weeks, 3 of the last 4 weeks, really, the Rams haven't been able to run the ball. I mean, you're not going to run the ball very well against San Francisco. Tampa Bay has one of the best run defenses in the league. And again, in the championship game, you're not going to be able to run the ball really that well against San Francisco. And they managed to find some success running outside the tackles. They got a little creative, but I do think they'll be able to run the ball on this Bengals defense and have some success like they did against Arizona. I wouldn't expect running the ball to be the primary focus in the game plan because I mean the Bengals have Eli Apple sitting out there at corner. Like they're gonna want to take advantage of that matchup. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm interested to see what McVay does here because he talked about it in 2018 where he kind of over prepared for this for the Patriots and he was overthinking things and just kind of got away from who they were. So I think that experience will help him out this time around, and I'm interested to see what they do.
God, I agree. It's always painful to just agree and agree, but I agree with you. McVay looked different even in the NFC Championship game than he has the last few years. He just had a different look in his eye, like he was taking it very seriously. Not that he didn't before, but there was moments in the past where you sensed a lot of emotion come in. And I think that he's learning to temper that and really make it an all business trip, so to speak. And I have a feeling Cincinnati's in for it up front with the offensive line. I think those guys, which is fun to see, Andrew Whitworth, we'll talk about him, be able to get into this game. And I think they're going to road grade. I think at the beginning, they're really going to test out Cincinnati's will to stop the running game because the Rams led the league in the spread offense, right? The empty back sets or empty backfields. So they can always lean on that if they need to. What do you expect to see out of Joe Burrow in this thing? His first Super Bowl.
I would expect him to flinch. I mean, this was a guy that went from absolutely nothing to being an absolute star at LSU, takes down Clemson in the national championship game. I mean, Clemson was no joke. They have Trevor Lawrence. They're the favorite, and this guy goes out and absolutely balls to the wall, wins LSU their national championship game, and then comes to Cincinnati, a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 31 years, beats the Raiders, goes on the road to Arrowhead, comes back from 18 points down. Like the Super Bowl game, it's not going to phase him. I don't think I mean, with most young quarterbacks, I think it would be a talking point, but they call him Joe Burr for a reason. He has ice running through his veins.
What is it, Joe Shiesty or whatever? I'm not cool, man. I don't know what all these names. But you're right. I mean, wins the Heisman, national champion, goes, transfers from Ohio State, barely recruited out of high school. This kid's incredible. I'm literally waiting, Blaine, for the old Joe Namath, Joe Burrow moment where he's guaranteeing a win or some crazy thing. I'm hoping that doesn't happen because it's not going to happen. The Rams are winning this thing. But I expect Burrow to show out in this thing. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. Defense. You talked a little bit about Cincinnati and some of the players. And I love the Eli Apple reference, how that guy is still in the league. That's mind-blowing to me. Even the Saints are taking pot shots at him, ex-teammates. I mean, come on, man. But when you flip to the defensive side of the ball, I don't want to talk about Cincinnati anymore. I want to talk about the greatest player on earth, number 99, in a game that he wants as bad as probably any player has ever wanted a Super Bowl. What do you expect to see? And maybe this is an absurdly stupid question, but we're going to talk about it anyway because I love him. What do you expect to see out of 99 against that Bengals offensive line, which isn't good?
I expect Aaron Donald to eat. I mean, I've been really impressed with Aaron Donald this postseason. You like you said, how much he wants this Super Bowl. Last week, before the 49ers game, you had reporters coming out saying Aaron Donald's approaching this week differently. You can tell how determined he is. They want this. You see him in before the fourth quarter, I think, gathering all the starters on defense, saying this is our time. It's time to step up right now. And it kind of reminded me in a sense of Jeff Fisher kind of trying to rally his troops in the 99 Super Bowl, kind of gathering his guys in the huddle there and getting them to rally. That's what it kind of reminded me of. And And it worked. They shut out San Francisco in the fourth quarter. So I expect Aaron Donald to show up. I expect Von Miller to show up. Like, the only thing Aaron Donald's really missing is a Super Bowl. That's what's separating him right now from the guys like Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor. Like, he knows he needs this to be considered among the. I mean, he really probably already is, but he in the media's eyes, he needs a Super Bowl, and he knows that.
Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I mean very arguably. And I'm talking about Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White. Aaron Donald is in that conversation, the greatest defensive player ever, particularly because of where he plays. I mean, he's an interior lineman, although we've seen Raheem move him out to the edges, which I love, and he's taken advantage of that. This is his stage, and it's unbelievable when you look at the stats. He's had, of course, on the season, 86 pressures, 15 sacks, and he's facing an offensive line that was ranked 30th against the pass block win rate at 49%. He should eat.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals, they're really gonna need to go to the quick passing game to avoid Aaron Donald, because if they don't, he's gonna have a day. I mean, like you said, I don't think it's crazy to say Aaron Donald's the best defensive player of all time right now. I mean, he has more first team All Pros right now than Lawrence Taylor had at in his first 7 years in the league, and same number of defensive player of the year awards. Like, he's in, like you said, just the position that he plays. It's so impressive, and I think you're going to get all business Aaron Donald these next 2 weeks, and that's a dangerous Aaron Donald for Cincinnati.
Oh man, his poor wife and kids, they better hide. He's ready.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I agree with the quick passing thing. There's going to be, Zach Taylor knows this guy, and he knows what he's in for. But the problem is, he's got a whole bunch of friends at that party now with Leonard Floyd, Von Miller. Jalen is overdue to make a big play on defense, an interception, a pick six, something. And my God, let me ask you this, man, sticking on the defensive side of the ball for a minute. How big has Eric Weddle been?
It's crazy. I mean, this guy is 37 years old, has been on his couch, not eating potato chips, that's for sure, or binging Netflix. Like, that's not what he's been doing. But yeah, to not play for 2 years and then come in and start for a team that's contending for the Super Bowl, and to play the way he has. Like, last week, I think he played every single snap. Like, it's just unbelievable.
It's mind blowing, man. He's about to get a ring, and he only played by the end of the Super Bowl, 4 games, 5
Yeah.
I mean, congrats, Eric. I mean, the guy's a great interview too. So, okay, before we move into some other special storylines here, give me one guy on defense you think, and I'm kind of blindsiding you with this, but a guy on defense that you think makes a play that we just don't talk enough about. I got a feeling I know where you're going.
What if this one ends with Ernest Jones makes the tackle?
Oh, God.
Wouldn't that be something?
I hope it ain't that close, but if it is,
I hope not. I hope not either. I don't know if I can handle another game like the last
another Jones on the tackle. Yeah. I like it, man.
But Ernest Jones, he hasn't played for, I think, a little over a month. He'll have 2 weeks. He played a little bit last week, kind of got back in the swing of things. He'll have 2 weeks to get healthy again. And listen, he was one of the top rookie linebackers once he finally really took over and got implemented in the defense. He was one of the better coverage rookie linebackers in the league, and the Rams will really to not have him down the stretch, I think, kind of hurt them, because we've seen Troy Reeder really be up and down, and Reeder is such a frustrating player. But
you're being nice.
Yeah, to have Ernest Jones back, I think that'll be a huge lift for the middle of the defense.
Okay, Grisak picks Jones. I'm going to throw a name out there. I wanted to go with Trayvon Howard, who I think is just sneaky good. But, man, I can't. I got to tip my hat to Nick Scott.
Yeah.
We found something in Nick Scott. How we didn't find it before, we'll get into it on another question down the road here. But Nick Scott, you're going with Ernest Jones.
I mean, you've watched Rams football longer than I have, obviously. Is that his hit on Deebo Samuel, like one of the top 3 hits you've ever seen? Oh, my God, he flattened him.
Let's just say this white-haired guy sat up at night and hit rewind on that hit about 84 times with a smile on my face sitting in a dark room. That was an awesome hit, man. And it was clean as could be. God,
Yeah.
Nick Scott's playing some football, and I love it. So some special storylines before we get into the bold prediction. Special storylines. Matt Stafford in his first year with the Rams wins a Super Bowl. How big will that be?
That would be huge. I think it's a huge legacy thing for him. Like, he's been this guy that's been stuck in Detroit. He was seen as this guy that couldn't win the big game. Yeah, I mean, for him to come to LA in his first year and do what nobody outside of maybe a couple Rams fans thought he could do, would be huge. It would quiet his doubters, I think, and I don't know if it put him in the Hall of Fame conversation just yet, but it would be something that would go towards legacy and be very, very, very big for him.
No kidding. I couldn't agree more. My God, has he come on strong and proved a lot of people wrong. Andrew Whitworth's final game.
His final game against his former team. How about that? Yeah, it doesn't get much better than beating your old team in the Super Bowl and then walking off into the sunset. Yeah, I mean, this will probably be Whitworth's last game. He's been probably the best free agent signing for the Rams. It's hard to see the Rams where they are right now without McVay signing Whitworth as his first free agent there in 2017. I just don't think Rams are where they are without him. I mean, Joe Nopu was playing really well, but yeah, Whitworth is fantastic, and if there's anybody that deserves to walk off into the sunset with a Super Bowl victory, it's Andrew Whitworth.
God, I couldn't agree more. Him and Donald, man. Okay, and on a final one, I switched it up on you. Kendall Blanton, starting tight end. Will we get Higby back? Do we even know? We really don't, do we?
Yeah, we really don't know. I mean, he's played so well.
God, it's been great.
I mean, how many times do you think he practiced that flea flicker tight end screen that they ran before they hit him? Like, probably not very many times, and it's probably the play of the game. And I mean, who would have called Kendall Blanton's touchdown for the first touchdown against Tampa Bay 2 weeks ago? Like, he's really stepped up this postseason, and it just goes to show, you know, we hear about the Rams being all in and trading away all these draft picks, and they're not deep enough, they don't have depth because they've traded away these picks, and yet you have guys like Kendall Blanton, an undrafted free agent, stepping up in the playoffs. Nick Scott, a 7th round pick, stepping up in the playoffs. Like, this team develops players so well, and here's two guys, Kendall Blanton. I mean, he's played really well, and they've needed him to.
Amen, man. Amen. So I'm going to hit you with a couple of off-the-wall questions. One I didn't prepare you for, so I'm going to give you time and fairness to figure this out. You can get one of our players off IR, just one, to play in this game. Who's your guy?
Oh, man.
Think it through. I'll give you a second. Give you a second.
I mean, it's got to be Robert Woods, right?
Oh, yeah. Come on.
I mean, does Robert Woods drop that touchdown in the end zone last week like Ben Skowronek?
Oh, Skowronek. He'll rebound.
he will, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you saw the video, but there's a video of Woods and Cup hugging there at the end of the game. Like,
I had something in my eye. I had something in my eye, man.
It got dusty.
Got dusty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's hurting so bad from not being able to be out there and stuff. But so yeah, to be able to have him back, I think would be huge for this game.
Yeah, we picked the same guy. I'd love to see Sebastian Joseph Day. I'd love to see Hendo get some time. There's a lot of stuff there, but Bobby Trees, in the city that he grew up in, Bill. Damn. But let's get him a ring. Okay, one other crazy question before we get into bold predictions to wrap up. Do you get the feeling, and this is what happens in the week before the Super Bowl, right? We ask and we do mock drafts and we predict things that come true. But here's kind of a gut punch one I want to throw out at you as somebody who covers the Rams full time. Do you get the feeling that Taylor Rapp is gone in the offseason?
I don't think so. I'm not sure how favored I don't know how favored he is within the organization, but I mean, you look at the depth there at safety. I mean, there's no way Eric Wello comes back and plays a full season next year. So you have Jordan Fuller, Nick Scott, and for whatever reason, Terrell Burge has kind of fallen out of favor. So
Yeah, that's a weird one.
I think just for depth purposes, Taylor Rapp's the guy that they need. I'm not sure he's a guy after his contract is up. I don't think he's the guy they re-sign at all. But he's a guy that they'll need back next year for at least for depth purposes.
Okay, I like it. I like Taylor Rapp. I think he takes he gets a lot of criticism for his coverage skills, obviously, on the good old internet. But I know it's talking to Leroy Irvin, Ram great. He really thinks Rapp is very good and will be a Pro Bowler in the future. He's just more of an in the box. He reminds me of Adam Archuleta. Yeah. That's what he reminds me of. So I like Rapp. I hope he stays.
Yeah, I mean he's extremely athletic. He did something a couple years ago, like a 10,000 calorie challenge, or burn 10,000 calories or something like. It was insane. Like not many athletes can do that, and so yeah, I hope he comes on and takes another step next year. You've seen some of his upside this year, but yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. That's for sure.
Good. Glad to hear that. Good prediction. Okay. Let's give our Super Bowl prediction. We probably won't hang out again prior to the game, even though it's almost 9-10 days away. Give me your Super Bowl prediction before you give the score. I'm blindsiding you with this one too. You'll get used to that with me. Give me a player that you think is going to stand out in this game, and B, give me something wild that you think is going to happen out of the ordinary, whether it's a play, hopefully not the lights going out like it did with Ravens Niners, but
no.
What do you give me 2 wild predictions?
All right. I'm going to say that Greg Gaines makes some sort of big play.
I love that.
I could see like a strip sack or something from him. He's came on this year. I absolutely he was mic'd up a couple weeks ago, and just he seems like such an entertaining guy. I love what he's done this year, stepping in for Sebastian Joseph Day. So with that Bengals offensive line, it could give Greg Gaines some opportunity there. I could see him making a big play on Joe Burrow.
Love it. Okay. I'm gonna give you a wild one. I had 2 in mind. I want to bounce them off you. And it's kind of contingent on the score. Right. Typical. I think this is the game we see Aaron Donald score a touchdown.
I love it.
And I think it could be on defense. I'm not saying I've always wanted to see him on the goal line as a fullback or something, but it'd be a giveaway. But I think this is the game Aaron Donald scores a touchdown and might be the Super Bowl MVP.
I'm all for it. I would love to see Aaron Donald get in the end zone. Even if McVay pulls the Fridge Perry and puts him in I formation at the goal line and gives him the carry, I would love to see it.
Amen, brother. Okay, so what say you on this crazy stuff from me? If we're up and we're up on them, we got a nice cushion, and McVay rolls out on the goal line, he adds an extra offensive lineman. I think Andrew Whitworth might score a touchdown.
I'm all for it. Yeah,
wouldn't that be fun?
Walk off into the sunset with a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Let's get it.
Wouldn't that be great? Even the Bengals organization would be like, how do we hate that? That's our guy. So anyway, there's my 2 wild predictions. You're going with Greg Gaines, which I love. I love that guy. Final score. The much too early final score from Blaine Grisak, managing editor of Downtown Rams. Hit us.
It's definitely a little early. I haven't
way early.
I haven't given it a lot of thought, but I think if I'm giving a prediction right now, I might go with something like 30-23.
Wow. Okay.
23 Rams. Yeah.
Reasonably close. Okay. I'm going to hold off on my prediction because no one cares anyway. And that wasn't fair to you, but you're the guest.
You do.
All right, man. Any final comments or things we should be looking for in this game?
No, I think we covered quite a bit. Thanks again for having me on. I had a great time as always, and look forward to coming on again soon.
Man, I love having you on, brother. Anytime, and I couldn't be more excited to have you on talking about a Lombardi Trophy. If you are not following Blaine, get on board. Come on, people. Get on Twitter at bgrisikdtr. You can also search for him. He's the managing editor of Downtown Rams. You can also find all of his great content along with some of his teammates at downtownrams.com. Blaine, thanks, buddy. I will send you an email or a Twitter note when we're hoisting that Lombardi.
Sounds good, brother.
All right. We will see you.